Sorry, no, the man in front of you. Yeah. I did see you, but the man in front of you has been there before.
David Bowman. The question kind of follows a lot of the comments that have been made. When I hear Second Republic, I hear, so maybe I'm hearing it incorrectly, I hear implied criticism of what we have, that the first one didn't work. Maybe it wasn't great, I think it probably wasn't great. And then when I hear people say, well, we kind of want to do it without getting into issues or being too prescriptive, republicanism comes with a whole set of values and principles and beliefs. Or maybe I'm misunderstanding it. Maybe what you're talking about is some sort of a technical republic, but not really a Republican republic. So I'm not clear really what's going on. Because if it is about a second republic, then you gave a specific example at the start about staying away from the issue of, say, church-state relations. No Republican can stay away from the issue of church-state relations. So I suppose the question I'm asking, is it about a republic, or is it just something that's kind of technically a republic? I'm not clear in that area.
What I mean in that is that we as a group here would push for reform, but stop short of saying what it is. And then the Republican idea comes in. Then the people, not just the members of this group, would decide what it is that they want to reform.
But the point I'm making that if you say that much, you do have starting points.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So I suppose, and I'm guessing that there are other people who are kind of wondering the same thing.
Yeah.
What are those starting points? That just to say it's just about a convention is a technique. That's all it is. And you know, as somebody who's taken an interest in left-wing politics, left-wing people very often turn techniques into principles, and then they get all excited about, you know, when you go against my technique, you're actually a traitor. That's a world I think we need to be very careful of. And the other thing I want to say is, if you look around, people talked about other groups. I mean, the bearded one is up the street today. Provos believe they're on a roll. Labour believe that they're about to be at the Taoiseach. Fine Gael believe that they're coming back to one there. The real government is coming back. Everybody and his wife at the moment believes that they have the answer. So that if you put up something like Second Republic and it's not clear, it's going to get lost in the shuffle very fast. It either means a republic, and then I'd be able to say, look, these 5 or 6 things or 10 things are key. And to build a mass movement, to establish a technique, a convention, to me seems, no, I think you build a mass movement to do something else, something much, much bigger. And that could be a real republic. And a convention is one option, but it's only a technique. And you might find after discussions that's not even the right way to go. Anyway.
And beside you.
Thank you very much. My name is Mark Coleman. I'm a broadcaster with Newstow. Apologies for coming in late, and congratulations for organising a meeting and getting so many people here on World Workers' Day. To answer directly what this gentleman just said, about 2 weeks ago myself and Fintan O'Toole had a debate on this. Now I'm on the right unambiguously, Fintan is on the left, but on Monday I was on Frontline debating another person on the left, Richard Boyd Barrett, and the Republic is neither left nor right. A proper republic is a platform where we can decide whether to go right or left. And what amazed me was that somebody like Fintan on the left and somebody like myself on the right can both agree we need a new set of rules for democracy. So it's a bit like Kerry and Cork shaping up for the final, you know, All-Ireland final. They both want to beat each other, but they also want to agree a fair set of rules, and they want the best team to win, not the team that is descended from, you know, somebody who's connected or has the better funding, but the best team. Now, I set up an organisation with some others called the National Forum, www.nationalforum.ie. I will warn those of you, give you fair warning, those of you on the centre left or left, it's not, it has stuff in it that you wouldn't like. But we can be comrades in arms on constitutional reform, because what we stand for is, and this is the root of all evil, it's the multi-seat constituency and the single transferable voting system. A Russian scientist called Pavlov 100 years ago found out that if you gave a dog a small electric shock when it went out and crapped on the carpet, and when you gave it a bone for crapping in the back garden, it would learn to crap in the back garden. What we have is an electoral system that gives the dog a bone when it craps on the carpet, and actually gives it an electrical shock when it craps. The politician gets the bone for crapping on the carpet, but if it does the right thing and does it in the back garden, it gets an electric shock. We have a perverse incentivization system. We're the only country in the world where your first preference vote can go up, but you can lose an election because of a couple of hundred transfers going the other way. That's an insane system. So is the system of we have the top 5 most powerful people. The Taoiseach, the Taoiseach, the Finance Minister, the Commissioner and the Leader of the Opposition are sons or daughters of TDs. We are not a republic. We are governed by the Lucky Sperm Club. We are the most aristocratic country in Europe. Even monarchist Britain is more republican in essence than we are. So I would wish you well in your endeavour. I know that many people here would not agree with what the Forum stands for on other issues, but we have a common area of overlap. We also don't want to abolish the Seanad. You need a watchdog over the Dáil. You need to elect the Seanad in between Dáil terms so that it is a check and balance. You need it to be able to control the rate of spending growth. You also, if you have a list system, you can encourage more women into politics by making funding dependent on having certain women in politics. And we need to go from 128 local authorities to 8 local authorities. That is also the source of all evil. We have chronic dysfunction at local government. If we had bigger, more efficient local government structures, we would be able to offload a lot of the local constituency work that TDs have to do onto a paid professional cadre of councillors. We could then have properly managed regions. Then the Dáil can function in the long-term national interest. So I wish you well. For those of you who are on the left, I think the United Left Alliance are also in agreement with us, paradoxically, on a lot of this constitutional reform stuff. But if you are of a centrist or centre-right orientation, I would urge you to go to the www.nationalforum.ie website. Take a look at us, see what you think, and get in touch with us if you'd like to look at this. Thank you.
And behind you there. You be by the window. You want to say something, I gather?
Yes. I suppose to coin a phrase, the consensus at the moment seems to be we are operating within the current political framework. And I suppose then we are concerned about the kind of pushing a nebulous kind of agenda where we're not really sure what the politicians will do with it. So I thought maybe one thing we could do within the context of the national current framework would be maybe to propose or to write a bill that we could say to the establishment gets elected, this is the framework that we want you to enact that will force the legislature and the executive to push with the framework of change, without saying any specifics within the bill, but to say this has to be enacted within the next Dáil session or the next Oireachtas session, and it will provide for a framework and goals and targets that should be met by the Oireachtas without us having to elect candidates on single issues who then would have to vote on other issues that are quite important at the moment. That was just my thought on operating within the current framework of the political system.
Okay. Yes.
Okay, thanks for the second, John. I think we need to get back to fundamentals here. I mean, there's a lot of talk about the objectives of the organisation. As of this morning, they were clear to me, and I think those who were aware of the organisation in the beginning. That is, we want a national convention to give the people an opportunity to discuss and suggest to the Oireachtas political reform. That there seems to be a trend here where we're saying the group should be advocating specific reforms. And I think you said earlier, Oliver, that would lead to division in the group. Undoubtedly it would, because I don't think if we are going to build a mass movement, we're not necessarily going to build a mass who agree on exactly what needs to be done. So I think that's a fundamental question though for where we are going. Like, are we going to start trying to decide what the right reforms are for the country and advocating those reforms, or are we going to stick to the original plan and let the people decide that via convention? That's one point. I don't agree with the idea of running candidates because I don't think this is a political party. But
I think just kind of, I'm trying to combine a couple of people's ideas, and I think there is a case that we do need to at least have key questions about what we want to address. That, I mean, without getting into the nitty-gritty of the answer, we should at least be clear about what looked at, what needs to be examined, and what needs to be changed.
Okay. I think as Arch said, like, for this to succeed, it needs to be a mass movement. So I think clarity on the objectives first, and then let's get people involved. And I know we've been trying that already. I think the turnout is quite good today, but for us to succeed long term, we're going to need a lot more people. So I think that has to be one of the first things we do. It's clarity, grow the movement. And just, I think somebody, Eamon, he couldn't be here today, he sent an email where he suggested that rather than us persuading the TDs to sponsor a convention, that we set up our own convention where people can come and contribute ideas. Yes, it won't be binding on anybody, but at least we could say to the government, which is going to be Fine Gael and Labour, look, we're doing this on our initiative. We are giving an open forum to the people of Ireland to contribute their ideas, and yes, we might have to do some work on the questions there in advance, and it won't be binding, but at least it will be a start. So I think it was Eamon de Stack sent that in an email today. Just the other thing was the idea of reaching out to the other groups who may have, at least to some extent, shared objectives. I mean, Mark just said there that despite his own agenda, he would have stuff in common with what we're trying to achieve. Could we look at reaching out to other groups and saying, okay, constitutional reform, political reform, can we as a combination of groups agree on certain things, and then maybe, you know, in terms of the general election. To be honest, I think the next general election is a foregone conclusion. I think it's Fine Gael Labour, it's the election down the road, 4 years, 5 years, that's